country, with this weather front turning up during the evening, bringing a spell of more persistent wet weather into Wales initially, that turning heavy in places, and then it spills into the Midlands and other parts of the southern third of the UK. Further showers for northern England, Scotland and Northern Ireland. But in between the showers, there will be some clear spells, and under those clear skies, temperatures will fall into the low single figures in places. So a few chilly spots first thing Wednesday, the odd mist and fog patch as well, particularly for sheltered parts of northern and northeastern Scotland, where temperatures could dip down just below freezing in some of the most sheltered glens. Otherwise, it's 5 to 7 degrees first thing, and we've got these showers moving into western and central Scotland. Some flakes of wet snow over the hills. Northern Ireland also seeing some showers, particularly for the north and the west. But a decent spell of brighter and drier weather for North Wales and northern England from the word go. And we do see the rain across parts of South and East Wales, and the southwest tend to peel away with skies brightening here, but it just does move into the East Midlands, East Anglia and the southeast by the afternoon. A damp and gloomy afternoon here, 14 Celsius in London, 8 to 10 Celsius for parts of Scotland. Thursday starts off bright with, again, a few pockets of frost and fog, but it doesn't last long. We keep the sunny spells in the east, whilst the next system brings wetter weather into the west with an increasing wind, gales in exposed western parts. And it stays unsettled through Friday and the weekend. A lot of showers around, but in between some brighter spells and feeling a bit warmer.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good evening. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. Motorists on the A83, rest and be thankful, should prepare for delays due to temporary traffic lights. Heavy congestion is impacting the M3 westbound between junctions 3 and 4, with one lane closed. The A38 between the A50 and A5 132 is experiencing up to 30-minute delays southbound and northbound. All lanes of the M40 northbound at junction 5 in Buckinghamshire are closed after a collision. And on the trains, cross-country and Great Western Railway services are disrupted at Plymouth and Weston-super-Mare. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
It's the final week to see how you can become our biggest winner this year. First, you could be driving away with this brand new Benamar Primera motorhome. This luxury vehicle comfortably sleeps 4, has its own fitted kitchen and bathroom areas, and comes complete with fitted awning and bicycle rack. And that's not all, as we'll also give you a whopping £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good evening. 50 towns in Britain have seen grooming gangs, yet London apparently hasn't seen any. The mayor is in denial. The Met have been in denial. Is this the next big grooming gang scandal to break? Next, we'll look at the government's idea to put 900 cross-channel migrants in barracks. Does this actually solve anything? And it seems ever more likely that in the budget there'll be a mansion tax. Anybody with a house worth more than £2 million could be paying more than £10,000 a year. What does that mean for lonely widows? That and much more, but first, let's get the news with Sam Francis.
Nigel, thank you, and a very good evening to you. Just gone 7 o'clock. Well, the top story tonight, Hurricane Melissa has now made landfall, slamming into Jamaica with winds of up to 185 miles an hour. That makes it the strongest storm ever recorded on the island. The Category 5 hurricane is tearing through the Caribbean, bringing torrential rain, 40 inches in some places, and a life-threatening storm surge. The Red Cross has said 1.5 million people are expected to be directly affected. British tourists have also been told the situation is extremely dangerous and life-threatening. Officials are urging everyone not to leave their shelter as the eye of the storm passes overhead, to stay in secure rooms, away from windows, under a mattress if needed, and even wear a helmet. Also breaking tonight, news from the Middle East, where blasts and tank fire have been heard in the last few hours across Gaza. That's after the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu ordered his military to carry out what he called new and immediate powerful strikes. The order came after Israel accused Hamas of violating the ceasefire, claiming the group fired on its troops and handed over a coffin that did not contain the remains of a new hostage. Hamas, though, has hit back, accusing Israel of fabricating false pretexts to justify new attacks, and says it's being blocked from recovering remaining hostage bodies. Well, there are believed to be around 13 still inside Gaza. It marks the most serious breakdown so far in the almost 3-week-old truce, with fears an all-out war could reignite within hours. Here, a 22-year-old Afghan national has been arrested after what police call a shocking and a senseless triple stabbing in Uxbridge that sadly left a 49-year-old man dead. The suspect was detained at the scene, while a 45-year-old man remains in hospital with life-changing injuries. A 14-year-old boy was also stabbed, but is expected to recover. In the last hour or so, government sources have confirmed the suspect is not a small boat migrant, but it's understood he did arrive in the UK by lorry in 2020 and was then granted asylum 2 years later. Well, our Home and Security editor Mark White spoke to an eyewitness earlier.
They were shouting at them to drop their weapon. They were saying, "Armed police, drop your weapon." And the guy had his arms up, but he was walking backwards, sort of towards me, with his back towards me down this road.
Could you see the weapon?
Yeah, in his right hand. He had it held up, quite a big weapon. I'd say about that big, I guess, from distance. And yeah, he was backing towards me. The police just kept shouting very loudly, "Armed police, drop your weapon, drop your weapon." And he didn't. So they tasered him. And he fell down onto my right here, just on the pavement, where he stayed, really. I think he had some medical attention, but there was just complete chaos around here.
Thousands of small boat migrants will be moved out of hotels and into former army barracks, with the first groups expected to move by Christmas. The government's confirmed discussions are underway for 2 sites, one in Scotland, the other in the south of England, which could house up to 900 men. Sir Keir Starmer has ordered officials to speed up plans to use military accommodation amid growing pressure to ease use of hotels. Home Secretary Shabana Mahmood says she is absolutely furious that hotels are still being used to house illegal arrivals. And actress Prunella Scales, best known, of course, for playing Sybil Fawlty in Fawlty Towers, has sadly died at the age of 93. Her sons Samuel and Joseph said she passed away peacefully at home in London yesterday. Her co-star John Cleese paid tribute, calling her a really wonderful comic actress and saying scene after scene she was absolutely perfect. It comes as the legendary sitcom marks 50 years since it first aired. That's the news on GB News. I'll be back with you at 8 o'clock. Now, though, it is over to Nigel.
Good evening. One thing GB News can claim great credit for is exposing the sheer scale and extent of the grooming gang scandal across the United Kingdom. Dare I say, the Pakistani Kashmiri grooming gang scandal, because in most towns that's what it is. And Charlie Peters, our own Charlie Peters, has done more work on this than any journalist in modern times since Andrew Norfolk first broke the story over a decade ago for the Times. But the funny thing is, of the 50 towns that he's investigated for this and identified clearly grooming gang cases, there's one town, or should I say city, where apparently there's no grooming gang problem at all. It's called London. And here's the mayor, Sadiq Khan.
So are you saying we haven't got the same sort of gangs that are in Rotherham, Bradford and lots of other places in the country?
Just for your misunderstanding, what does she mean by that?
You know full well what I mean by that. It's all over the television. You know exactly what I mean by that. These gangs of people that are grooming young girls for sex. Do we actually have those in London?
Today, I'm unclear, Chair, what is meant by the question. If you could spell it out, I can answer.
I mean, that's a level of denial that is almost unbelievable. And by the way, Susan Hall there doing a very, very good job as a Conservative Assembly member. Khan in complete denial. The Met, for the last 20 years, have been in complete denial. Well, Charlie Peters' work has continued. Have a look at this network that he's produced of how the grooming gangs are connected all around the country. It is fascinating. You'll see that not every single road leads to London, but many roads do lead to London. And Charlie Peters wrote a very big piece in the Daily Mail today. This is just one quote from it. In the course of investigating the grooming gangs phenomenon, as a reporter for GB News, I've interviewed dozens of victims across the country. I am convinced that through a combination of naive inaction on the part of Metropolitan Police and local politicians, the same pattern of abuse has been repeated in the capital. In one ongoing case involving a pregnant 15-year-old girl, I was informed the victim told her social workers she was in love with one of her abusers. The social worker believes that more than 100 men were involved in her exploitation for years. Yes, folks, we are talking about London. I'm asking you, is this the next great grooming scandal to break? Because I absolutely believe that it is. Tell me I'm right, tell me I'm wrong. Tweet #Farage on GB News or email farage@gbnews.com. I'm joined on this Tuesday evening by my regular panel of Joe Phillips and Sir Ranald Jayawardena. But to begin, John Wedger, former Metropolitan Police Detective Constable, and somebody who I understand, John, and welcome to the programme.
Pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
I understand, but it's very important that you're here, because I understand that 20 years ago, or 2006, you were told to stop investigating the cases of over 50 children.
Well, it was more aggressive and coarse than that. I was told that if I continued to look into it or revealed my findings as one of 2 officers that was dedicated to looking for children involved in what we call a crime of prostitution. I'm not endorsing the term, I'm just saying it was. When I put my findings on an intelligence report and they were submitted to a senior officer, I was told if I continued on my path, I would lose my home, my job and my children. What I had exposed would F the Metropolitan Police, past, present and future. I cannot and will not allow this out, that's what I was told. And I was told that there was nowhere for me to go. And if I classed the attitude of the officer as bullying, he told me that he would not betray fellow rank, nor would they.
So you were basically forced not to do anything?
That was it. I was then removed straight away from the operation, an active operation in which we had dozens of young kids, girls and boys, from the age of 9 to 14, involved in being pimped out on the streets of London, most of which were addicted to crack cocaine and heroin, and some had life-threatening diseases such as AIDS, hepatitis C and contagious tuberculosis.
This is almost back to Dickensian England. And I thought, you know, in the Victorian times we sorted all this out, but it's all come back. Was it different to the grooming gangs in Rochester and Rotherham, which were predominantly Pakistani? Was there a different twist on this?
Yeah, I mean the premise is the same, but we've got to bear in mind that most abuse goes on in the home. 80% of the abuse goes on in the home. A child that's been abused is 6 times more likely to be involved in the trafficking for crime, whatever it might be. Step-parents equate for most of the abuse, but the ones that were if we could class it, grooming gangs on these girls. We had Jamaican yardies, we had Albanians, Kosovans, Lithuanians. One of the most prolific pimp, as it were, was a white woman who we managed to get convicted for double figures. She was the first person ever to get convicted under the amended 2003 Sexual Offences Act. But it was as diverse as the population of London.
Yeah, OK. So slightly different to the north.
Yeah, slightly different.
Same problem.
There were Bangladeshis and a few Pakistani gangs, but they were in the areas that more represented their ethnicity.
Now, the Met have now said they're going to reopen 9,000 cases of child exploitation.
Yeah.
Is this, and you went through all this all those years ago, are the Met finally waking up?
Yeah, I was on Talk TV and I did a call out to Sadiq Khan, who in my opinion is beyond redemption on this topic, and also Mark Rowley, because I genuinely believe that Mark Rowley, underneath that...
The boss of the Met.
The boss of the Met.
Yeah.
Underneath that corporate exterior, there is a heart, and I appealed to his heart and said, Mark, do the right thing. Do the right thing. You know, be the hero of the day, turn this around. It's in your power and capabilities, do it. You know I'm not lying. And I challenged Sadiq Khan and Mark Rowley. I said, prove me wrong, because you can't. And it looks like he may have taken heed. Whether he has or not, he is now seems to be doing the right thing.
Mm. But the level of denial, you know, I mean, I showed you one clip of the mayor. There's a previous time when he was asked about this, he said, no. The problem is County Lines drugs.
No.
I mean, how can the Mayor of London? He must have known about this.
Yeah, well, of course, you see, but how it works, you need dedicated officers on what's known as a proactive approach. You cannot have what they call fire brigade policing, which is purely reactive. This crime never presents itself in a disorderly or dishonest way like most crime does. This is hidden, it's covert. The Met did have dedicated officers on the Vice unit, but they've shut all that down.
How angry do you feel?
When I saw that clip with Susan Hall being berated by him, and he was engaging in this seminar of semantics or wordplay and ignoring the most vile criminality going, and the disregard and disrespect to victims and survivors of the most appalling crime. You know, when a kid is sexually abused, the damage goes on for 3 generations. Yeah. And what about the suicides? Yeah. You know, in order for healing, we need justice. And in order for justice, we need to go out there and nick these people. And I just turn around and say, you know, to the police, to Mark Rowley, just do your job. Do it.
Joe, this is a very powerful...
Yeah, it's awful.
An entirely believable testimony.
Oh, completely. And I've read about John and the work that you do now with people, and, you know, you're doing an amazing job. The Met are disgraceful, and they have been for many, many years. And it's not just this. It's a whole load of other things, including sexual abuse in children's homes that were run by local authorities.
Yeah.
You know, there has been cover-up after cover-up. I don't think Sadiq Khan committed himself very well in that particular exchange.
Come on. It's far worse than that, isn't it? Total denial, pretending the problem doesn't even exist.
I don't think it was total denial, but I think I agree with John that he was playing with semantics, and I think on a subject like this, you shouldn't. It's the wrong place. But the fault lies with the police, Nigel, and actually it goes back to what you say, John. Sadiq Khan wasn't mayor then. No. You know, it goes back to Ken Livingstone and Boris Johnson.
That's true.
You know, and other people. But I think, you know, there is a rot deep at the heart of the Metropolitan Police. I want to ask you a question, though, because a lot of this is linked to drugs. The drugs are used to get the kids involved and dependent, as it has always been with prostitution and pimping. Yeah. And there is a problem, as we know, County Lines, which does start from London. Do you think it is the drugs? Are the gangs more interested in the money they make from drugs and that the abuse is a sideline, or do you think the two are intertwined?
They're intertwined.
OK.
You know, the drugs are used because that is the glue that keeps the kids going. These girls are passed around crack houses. You know, one of the biggest gangs that was doing it was Jamaican yardies. You know, men of extreme violence. The crack houses were very, very dangerous places. And the girls were traded for 9-10 rocks at a time. They were just playthings that were used.
Well, that's Randall, this is sick, isn't it? I mean, you know, Joe can blame the police, and I do. The previous mayors of London, and we can sort of equate that with the same time frame as Oldham, Rotherham, Barrow-in-Furness, Oxford, the list goes on and on and on. But this Mayor of London, his behaviour is disgraceful.
Well, I think, dealing with this issue in that way, letting his personal animosity for Susan Hall get in the way of answering a straight question,
that's a good point.
that is just not right. I think the people of London deserve better. I think he, on reflection, would probably accept that he could have handled that much better himself.
But that's not the first time he's been in denial.
True. But I do think the Met has consistently got decisions wrong. Sometimes it's taken forward investigations wrongly, and we saw lots of spurious allegations at certain high-profile people. That was taken forward to the nth degree, and yet these cases involving children have not been. So I think the Met does have a problem in discerning right from wrong and what it should do and what it should not do. But I do think, just one very quick point, I think there's a really interesting point in Charlie's report here, which is that the law is a big problem that needs to be changed.
Yeah.
So he says that when young teenage girls become pregnant as a result of rape, they are unable to step in and inform the family because of rules about confidentiality. That is a really important point that I don't think anyone's been talking about before. If they have, forgive me. I do think that the more we look into this, the more we learn that so many different parts of our system just do not work.
No. John, final thought to you. I mean, the fact that the Met have said in the last couple of days they're going to reopen these 9,000 cases, is this the beginning of an admission they've got this wrong?
Definitely. Of course, I think just in the actions alone speak volumes. They have ignored this. It's not just me. There's been many other officers that have dealt with crimes against children, and I call it the algorithm of bullying. If we look back a few years ago, circa the time I blew the whistle, there was a very brave man called Lenny Harper who spoke out about a children's home called Hope de la Garenne in Jersey.
I remember all this.
Yeah, very similar thing. He was bullied as well. Yeah. A guy called Mike Veal, Chief Constable Wiltshire, spoke out about kids that were involved, again bullied. So we see it everywhere. It's when it's dealing with children and sex crimes of kids, because it takes crime into a total different genre altogether. It's a deeper argument, and I'll happily explain it, when there's time.
Well, you come back and talk to us on this.
Of course I will.
Because I have a feeling this story is about to become a very, very big story.
Yeah, I think
it's been buried for far too long. Yeah. I thank you very much.
It's a pleasure. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. And I'm sorry at home to start the programme with such a sick, awful, appalling story. But you know what? And I saw this yesterday, and I was with one of the grooming gang survivors from Barrow-in-Furness yesterday, and her anger almost now is, it's almost more what's happened since the abuse and the fact no one's ever got to the truth, the real truth, than it is for what happened to her all those years ago. In a moment, the government have a solution to the young men crossing the Channel. They're going to use military barracks to save money. Who knew?
want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power?
Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber.
Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics.
We'll see where this ruling takes us.
These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Bold. They are under no illusion.
Ray.
Are you a human trafficker?
Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get this on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What I'm going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Well, I asked you, is London the next great grooming gang scandal to break? Janet says, of course it is, Nigel. It's par for the course. It's absolutely disgusting how many people have hidden, buried and covered this up. Those poor children have suffered in London and elsewhere. It's time for Khan to come to the surface and let us see exactly what he knows. Well, let's hope he is pressured, frankly. Gregory says, it's not the next scandal, it's part of the same scandal. Just when you think it can't get any worse, it does. The 9,000 figure in London is probably the tip of the iceberg. I think, actually, I've got a feeling our former Met officer would agree with that. And Jake says, Nigel, most sexual abuse gangs in the UK are white, indigenous criminals, a proven fact. Are you in denial about that? That is entirely wrong. There are two, of course there are more, but there are two very distinct types of sexual abuse of minors. One is the one we've known about forever. It's always been there. Sadly, it'll never go away. It happens in the home. It's nearly always a trusted family friend. It's somebody, and they could be a priest, or they could be somebody in civil society or a relation, and the sexual abuse happens, and it happens under threat. Threat to a child, that if you ever say anything about this, you know, we will beat you up, we will kill your parents, or whatever it is. The difference between that and the mass industrial-scale rape of the young girls in northern England that has now been proven is there was no secrecy. Nobody even tried to cover it up. There'd be a dozen young men hanging around a kebab shop, a taxi office. Everyone in the community knew, and no one did a damn thing. Now, a spokesperson for the Mayor of London told GB News it is not a cover-up, and instead, Sadiq has consistently been clear to the Met that no stone must be left unturned in pursuing justice for the victims of grooming gangs and ensuring the vile perpetrators are brought to justice. The Mayor remains vigilant to emerging and changing threats about child exploitation and will continue to hold the Met to account to ensure it does everything possible to tackle child sexual exploitation in London. What a pity he didn't say that to Susan Hall when she asked him a perfectly civil, reasonable, sensible and grown-up question. Now, the government have a big new idea. Yes, all these young men that cross the Channel will now be put in military barracks because it'll be cheaper than hotels. Here was the Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, on this subject.
We had years under the previous government where they didn't process claims. So tens of thousands of people didn't have their claims processed. They were then housed in hotels. That was the policy of the last government. There were 400 at the height of it. It's now about 200. I'm determined that we will close those hotels. We're processing the claims much more quickly, and where people have got no right to be in our country, we're removing them at a higher rate than the best part of a decade. So we're taking the action, but I can't tell you how frustrated and angry I am that we've been left with a mess as big as this by the last government.
Yes, he was left a mess, that there is absolutely no doubt. But since he came to power, nearly 60,000 people have crossed the English Channel. In fact, the numbers for this year are headed towards a record ever number, especially if we get 2 or 3 calm weeks between now and Christmas. And when he tells you, oh, we've reduced the number of hotels, it's way down from the peak, there are 8% more human beings in those migrant hotels than there were when he won the general election on the 4th of July last year. I'm sorry, it's difficult to believe a single word our Prime Minister says, and I really believe that. As for returns, most of those that are being sent home are overstayers on visas. When it comes to those that are across the Channel, the numbers you almost count on the fingers of one hand. And when they claim this is a big step forward, and there's one site in East Sussex, one site up in Inverness, they're military sites, they'll house 900 people. Think about this. That's just one day's crossing on a calm day in the English Channel. Ranald, this issue, we've discussed it before on this programme, but he keeps doing this. He literally can't tell the truth on this.
Well, he thinks that the British people don't understand this issue. So he thinks by saying that we're going to move people to army barracks, that the British people will be duped into thinking that that's the problem.
They won't, will they?
They will not. They know that this is a problem affecting the whole country. They know that it's costing taxpayers millions upon millions of pounds.
Billions.
Every day. Every day. And so the truth is that until he actually does stop the boats, until he actually does, in my view, do something on the European Convention on Human Rights, and that will allow us to deport people and certainly to process people offshore, this is not going away. Just one aside. You know, Dame Andrea Jenkins, my old friend, your friend, she has talked about not wanting to use the airfields in Lincolnshire. She's right, I think, about using tents and using that sort of temporary accommodation, but I don't think she's right about saying that nowhere in Lincolnshire should be used, because there's a lot of redundant airfields there. That's the right idea.
Here's the difference. The migrants that will be put in those hotels will be free to roam the streets. Under Andrea's plan, they wouldn't be free to roam the streets.
Well, this is why I think using the temporary accommodation is the right way forward.
If it's secure.
Yes.
This was all in response, Joe, to the report yesterday saying we've wasted billions.
Yes.
We've overpaid billions. And I'm, for once, not even going to name the 3 big companies that have made all the money. Well, because GBNews can't afford the legal fees.
No, but I mean, we know who they are.
We know
because,
who they are.
Most of them are already involved in quite a lot of outsourced work.
And not just migrant, all sorts of things for government.
Absolutely. Everything from school meals to prisons to, all sorts of bits and pieces. And in fact, processing applications for young people to join the armed services, one of them is.
Unbelievable.
And that report, just to refresh people's memory, showed an absolute catalogue of chaos, a lack of oversight, a lack of curiosity that goes back to 2019. So sorry, Ronald.
No.
But,
I think Ronald accepts it.
I've accepted there are problems. I think I've said that. I've been at pains to say that. I've been at pains to say that.
So it goes back to 2019. There's £46 billion that should have been paid back to the taxpayer that's been sitting around somewhere because nobody bothered to chase it up. And the catalogue of failure over managing the hotels has been a disaster.
But whether it's hotels or HMOs or whether it's military sites, the fact is, and we see it now, we saw it again today on the news, a stabbing in West London, a triple stabbing in West London. We are now seeing, Joe, every single day in our news, heinous crimes committed by young men coming into Britain via boats.
Well,
and the public have had enough.
We don't know anything about the person who stabbed.
Every day we see...
Well,
look...
But that particular case...
fair enough. Fair enough. For legal reasons, fair enough. But you know what I'm saying.
Yes, I know.
On the very same day that Kabasi was mistakenly released from Chelmsford prison, we had the conviction of a man who killed that woman with 23 stabs with a screwdriver. This is a massive problem.
Well, it is a massive problem, and it's a problem that's been building for years and years and years, and it's a horrible, conglomeration, if you like, of lack of funding and investment in the prison service, which has left the prison and probation service. I mean, you know, Chris Philp or Jenrick, I can't remember which one, they're interchangeable, said, sorry, Chris. But, you know, he said, they can't, the probation service can't cope. Well, who hollowed out the probation service? Hang on a minute, Ranald. And you know as well as I do, you both do, that the asylum backlog was allowed to just climb and climb and climb and climb and climb under the previous government. So it became unmanageable. It's like clearing out, you know, a house.
But the problem is,
order.
if you reject people's asylum claims that you can't deport them, the problem's even bigger.
Yeah, and going back to the original question, which is about military barracks, I mean, of course, that makes sense. Not probably the one in Inverness, which is right in the middle of the city centre. You know, and I'm sure that local people, and I know...
The local Liberal Democrat MP was struggling a bit with that.
Well, I mean, you know, in theory, it's a great idea, but they've got to be in the right place.
Do you know what?
And the trouble is, you're going to have people saying, yeah, it's a great idea, but not here. Well, you've got to put them somewhere.
Yeah, I know.
And
I know. Well, the local Liberal Democrat MP, who signed various motions saying, you know, oh, come all ye faithful, suddenly feels very differently about it in his backyard. Ranald, I think this issue, more than any other, contributed to Rishi's downfall.
Well, I think Rishi was on the right track saying we need to stop the boats. The trouble was that
if you say that and don't deliver...
Well, this is my point.
And Starmer has said smash the gangs, it's not happening.
Indeed. And, you know, and on Joe's point, you know, the truth was that we did have a plan. We didn't execute it in time. We didn't execute it swiftly enough. Offshore processing, because as Nigel rightly said, if you're going to reject claims, you need to make sure you're actually able to deport or process people offshore and they're not here in the first place. In terms, though, of the trouble in society, you know, trust in society is breaking down. And that is the consequence.
And that's the great danger.
Well,
we saw in Ireland last week, I didn't cover this last week on the show, but the scale of the riots after an alleged serious sexual assault against a 10-year-old girl in Ireland last week were of a level that were genuine riots.
And it's terrible for law-abiding people of whatever race or background that they might be.
Trust is breaking down.
Trust is breaking down.
Trust is breaking down, but it's part of the problem is what we were discussing before the break. We can't trust the police. You know, the most vulnerable people in our society can't trust social workers.
I think on this issue, it's politicians they're not trusting.
Well, and that's...
Anyway, a look ahead to the budget. It seems that a mansion tax, a tax on those whose houses are worth more than £2 million, is about to come. Now, you might sit there at home, wherever you are around the country, saying, well, that doesn't bother me. But it could bother a lot of people living in Greater London.
Can't wait to get in that sea.
Lovely and warm.
Just like the feeling of having great travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News travel destinations forecast.
Many parts of southern Europe are going to have a fine day tomorrow, albeit there are a few showers here and there. And actually across parts of Portugal and Spain, heavy thundery rain pushing through here. There's the potential for 50 to 100 millimetres of rain in just a day or so, which is around the average for October. But further east, like I said, a lot of dry weather to be had. But worth noting, some showery rain pushing its way eastwards across parts of Cyprus, though this doesn't look especially heavy. More fine weather for most as we go through the end of the week.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News travel destinations forecast.
Hello again and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. Further showers for many of us, particularly northern parts of the UK during the next 24 hours. Chilly in the north as well, in between any showers with clear spells about. Low pressure continues to drive weather systems into northern and southern parts of the country, with this weather front turning up during the evening, bringing a spell of more persistent wet weather into Wales initially, that turning heavy in places, and then it spills into the Midlands and other parts of the southern third of the UK. Further showers for northern England, Scotland and Northern Ireland. But in between the showers, there will be some clear spells, and under those clear skies, temperatures will fall into the low single figures in places. So a few chilly spots first thing Wednesday, the odd mist and fog patch as well, particularly for sheltered parts of northern and northeastern Scotland, where temperatures could
dip down just below freezing in some of the most sheltered glens. Otherwise, it's 5 to 7 degrees first thing, and we've got these showers moving into western and central Scotland. Some flakes of wet snow over the hills. Northern Ireland also seeing some showers, particularly for the north and the west. But a decent spell of brighter and drier weather for North Wales and northern England from the word go. And we do see the rain across parts of South and East Wales, and the southwest tend to peel away with skies brightening here, but it just does move into the East Midlands, East Anglia and the southeast by the afternoon. A damp and gloomy afternoon here, 14 Celsius in London, 8 to 10 Celsius for parts of Scotland. Thursday starts off bright with, again, a few pockets of frost and fog, but it doesn't last long. We keep the sunny spells in the east, whilst the next system brings wetter weather into the west with an increasing wind, gales in exposed western parts. And it stays unsettled through Friday and the weekend. A lot of showers around, but in between some brighter spells and feeling a bit warmer.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Mansion tax, it looks like it's coming in the budget. Here was the Housing Minister, Steve Reed, discussing it on LBC earlier on today.
Would you be in support of a so-called mansion tax to be levied on owners of homes valued at over £2 million?
Well, I've seen some of the speculation about this, Nick, and, you know, it's never a good idea for a minister to come in and speculate about...
I'm not asking you to speculate, respectfully. I'm asking you, would you support... I'm not asking you whether it's going to happen. I'm asking whether you, in principle, would support something such as a mansion tax.
Well, but you are asking me to speculate, given that we've got the budget coming up soon, so it's best... Is
it something you would support?
Well, it's best for me not to answer that question, Nick.
Well, I'm joined by Trevor Abrahamson, veteran luxury real estate agent, here in the studio with my panel. Now, there'll be a lot of people at home thinking, well, you know, my place is not worth anywhere near £2 million. What does it matter? But this is a particular London and South East problem, isn't it?
It is. And it will exacerbate the great divide between London and the rest of the country.
Because it seems to me that the problem here is, you know, you're 86, you're a widow, you bought a house in 1961 in West London with a few bedrooms because you had a few kids, and the husband's gone. And you've got a lovely house, but you kind of got no real income because you've got a fixed... These people are going to be hammered, aren't they, with £5,000 a year, £10,000 a year if it's bigger?
It's going to be mayhem. It'll cause such a lot of grief to these people who are property rich, you could say, and cash poor.
Yeah.
But what's more is even if you defer it until they die, for argument's sake, the accumulative effect of those taxes plus IHT taxes when they die will extinguish all the equity that these poor people, their relatives...
That they want to leave?
Yeah, exactly.
What does this do to the property market as a whole?
Well, it depends. If you get rid of stamp duty, that will be a big a boost to the property market. There will be a huge number of transactions, and Lord knows how you will legislate for the people that have already exchanged contracts and haven't completed. But anyway, I'm sure they'll muck that one up. But nevertheless, I think it rhymes with muck. Anyway, so they...
Careful.
So they... the point being that it will
It'll cause congestion at the higher end, which will percolate down to the lower ends. And before you know, you've got a mess on your hands. If they do get rid of stamp duty, they'll lose 9 billion or thereabouts of revenue, so they'll have to try and replace it somehow. But if they don't get rid of it and they add the mansion tax, let's say at 1%, the problem is they will bring it in at a threshold. So, for instance, let's say it's £2 million. So the person that has a house at £1.95 million will pay no tax, and the person at £2 million and 50 will pay 20.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. I mean, stamp duty, a major problem, Joe?
Well, getting rid of stamp duty would help older people who want to downsize, because that is one of the, the barriers.
Yes, it would.
And I think, I hear what you say, but I can't imagine there's an awful lot of sympathy for very wealthy people living in very expensive... Yeah, but come on,
Well,
Nigel.
no, I understand that, but there's at least 150,000 people will be affected by it, and a lot of them are single elderly people.
Yes, I know, but if you get rid of stamp duty to help them or encourage them to downsize...
No, but Trevor's point was, if you do it all together, it's just too much. And your lot quadrupled stamp duty.
Well, so first of all...
His lot did it, didn't they?
No.
You quadrupled it. No, hang on, I know I'm right.
So that was in 2014.
We changed stamp duty so that for the vast majority of people, they paid less. But
you quadrupled stamp duty.
Some people who paid more. Let me just deal with this issue.
Do you agree that you quadrupled stamp duty?
Not for everyone, no. But what I want to what I want to deal with the substantive issue here, which is older people. Now, Joe's right that stamp duty is a problem for older people, but today the Liberal Democrats have sided with Labour and opposed a cut to stamp duty, which would, not only give more space to people who want to grow their family, but also help older people who want to downsize. And here's the thing about a mansion tax: wherever you set the threshold, they'll start with 10 million, say, but then they'll go down to 5 million, and then they'll go down to 1 million,
and then it becomes a tax on aspiration.
But they'll come for everyone across this country.
OK, but the point is, I know that there's no sympathy for wealthy people in large houses, etc., but you've already created an exodus of people through the non-dom issue. And how much, we should be a country which invites wealth and expertise, etc., and we're doing just the opposite. And they're already paying 19% stamp duty. We have the highest property taxes in the world.
It's madness. It's madness. It's madness. Trevor, thank you for coming in. Now, quick what the Farage. The English sparkling wine industry is quite something. But I'm afraid Tom Cannon joins me down the line, the founder and CEO of Falk, and they're not one of the biggest producers in the country, but Bollinger are threatening you over your adverts. Now, I know you can't call it champagne, but did you push the edge a bit by saying, not the same old Bolly, it's not champagne, it's pink champers? You were pushing the edge a bit, Tom.
Thanks, Nigel. It's great to be here. I guess we were pushing the barriers a little bit, but, as a small brand, you've got to stand out somehow. We haven't got
I know about that.
The marketing budget that the likes of Bollinger have, right? So you've got to test the water somehow. And there's definitely rustled some feathers.
Do you feel the government is supporting, what is certainly been rapidly growing? Is the government supporting the British wine industry?
Yes, I think they absolutely are. I think, it's tough times for wine producers as a whole, and they're not necessarily singled out English wine per se, but I think, they've not been restrictive in terms of seeing an opportunity with the budgeting industry like English wine and potentially supporting it through various different measures.
Yeah, I visited Chapel Down last Friday, funnily enough, just to talk about the industry, to talk about, booze taxes, the budget, much the same subject we were on a moment ago with mansion tax. And I can see, actually, the product's getting better and better and better. The price is becoming more and more competitive, and it ought to be encouraged. Just tell us, Tom, finally, how has this year's crop been for you?
It's been fantastic. I think it's going to be one of the best years for English wine. We had that gorgeous summer throughout, lots of hot weather, limited rainfall. So, great things to come, I expect.
Very good. Good luck in your legal battle with Bollinger. I'm sure you'll win. Tom, thank you. Now, Jo, you've got a bit of interest in this, haven't you?
I have. I've got a personal interest because my dad was a sheep farmer down in Kent on the Romney Marsh, and where he farmed sheep is now the Gusbourne Estate.
Owned by Lord Ashcroft.
Yes, and it was a great joy to my dad to look out of the window and to see, and the people who ran it were very kind at taking him around.
Yeah.
And he always said, you know, how fabulous to go from sheep to champagne. I know you're not allowed to call it champagne, but no, it's brilliant. And,
well, you say that. I was thinking this because I was at Chapel Down on Friday, very close to where you grew up and everything. And it seemed to me that the Garden of England, that we used to think of apples and pears and plums, but grapes kind of fits, doesn't it?
Absolutely, and it is wonderful, because if you think, once upon a time, English wine would be up there on a shelf next to the chutneys and the homemade jams, or if somebody gave you one, you'd think, oh,
they don't like me.
And now it is just fabulous, and, you know...
Well, I have to say...
I'm very delighted that folk will get so much coverage.
Well, this is perfect for them, isn't it?
Good for them.
Final thought on this. Reynold, do you drink English sparkling?
I love it. And when I was Minister for Trade, I was selling it all over the world. It is important, in fairness, not to call it champagne, because we benefit from things like Scotch whisky being protected too.
Yeah, I agree.
So there is a purpose behind it, but they've done the job they wanted to do, which is get the coverage, promote their brand. Well done.
And Reynold J. Warner never underselling himself on his previous career. In a moment, thank you very much on Mansion Tax. In a moment, let's talk about Argentina. Milei, with a chainsaw, appears to have won the midterms. Something is changing in Argentina.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock, only on GB News.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, DC.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Bold. They are under no illusion. Ray, are you a human trafficker? Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it. Don't get this on the BBC. Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines. The smell of gasoline.
Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos. What I'm going to do now, they are throwing things out the car as we speak. Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There, you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
A century ago, Argentina was a rich, successful country, but it has been going downhill decade after decade. Even just a few years ago, inflation running at over 100%, interest rates running at over 100%. The whole thing, a total economic disaster. And then along comes Milei with his chainsaw. And he says, we've got to get real, we've got to cut, we've got to sack people, we've got to make very, very tough decisions. Let's have a look at Milei in action. Well, it's certainly distinctive, isn't it? It's interesting because they call Milei a populist, but actually populists normally splash money left, right and centre. Milei actually was coming in on what you might call a monetarist platform. He's sacked over 20% of civil servants. He's cut back benefits. He's cut back pensions. He's done all the things that need to be done. And actually, the truth is, the Argentinian economy genuinely is beginning to recover, albeit it's been painful for many, many millions. But in effectively one of the midterms, his party just achieved 41% of the vote, taking 13 out of 24 Senate seats and 64 of the 127 seats in the lower house. He now goes in to the second half of his term with strong majorities in his parliament. Interesting thought here, that publics reach a point where they know the state's bankrupt and everyone's got to tighten their belt. It looks like Argentina have reached that.
Yep, and actually, you know, if you think back in history, not that long ago, Margaret Thatcher did something very similar here, where she said, look, we just cannot go on like this. Britain isn't working, was the slogan. And so I think, yeah, the people of Argentina have decided change is required. And, you know, it's change for everyone, including the politicians. He's slashed the size of the ministerial ranks, saying, look, we can't have a cabinet of thousands. We've got to have a tight team that's going to really focus on delivering efficiency and proper services at low cost to the taxpayer. And what he's done is he's given people back their own money. He said, look, it's not for the state to decide how you live your lives and how we spend your money, it's for you. So he's in touch with the people.
We're not quite Argentina yet, but we're in big trouble.
Well, we're certainly not Argentina yet. And don't forget that Donald Trump did help him out, or help the country out.
Yes, he did.
Hugely.
Yes, he did.
And had Milei not won, Trump would have removed that help and that support, and it was billions and billions and billions, because it basically bailed out the peso.
But there's nothing wrong with that, is there?
No, it's not. But it, you know, he hasn't done it on his own. I mean, he does look absolutely start-raving bonkers. You have to admit.
But it's South America.
Yeah, that's a little bit stereotypical and probably not very nice. But he may turn out to be like Giorgia Meloni, that actually he has rode back from some of his more extreme comments about his opponents in the last few weeks. And it may well be that now he's there with a fairly strong mandate, he is actually more measured, and so Argentina becomes more stable.
Is the Liberal Democrat Joe Phillips now a supporter of the Brothers of Italy?
No. But I do think Giorgia Meloni has proved herself to be, in the current political world climate, a smart operator.
I agree. And she's brought stability to Italian politics.
Exactly.
Milei hasn't yet brought stability. But you never know. In the second half of this term, he just might.
Yeah, he might even get a decent suit and go to a barber.
That's very unlikely. He is a wildly eccentric academic economist, although I'm not used to academic economists behaving quite the way that he does.
And I thought we were going to be talking about Jeremy Corbyn in drag at a panto.
Well, we may well do that before Christmas. Don't worry. Well, my enormous thanks, as ever, to my regular panel here on a Tuesday. Now, Jacob, I'm guessing it's half-term for Jacob Rees-Mogg. So we have Christopher Hope standing in for him. Christopher, what will you be debating this evening?
We're keeping an eye, of course, on Hurricane Melissa making landfall in Jamaica.
Wind speed's incredible numbers.
Huge, but as long as the powers come out of the island, it's not disaster. If the lights go out, there's time to we really should worry about Jamaica. We're looking at the downgrade in the productivity. We're debating that with Matt Vickers from the Tory party, Samantha Niblett from the Labour Party, looking at the polling disaster, not for your party, you're miles ahead, but some of these main big parties like Labour and the Tories, they could be 5th place by Christmas.
And the Greens rising.
Greens rising, and that's nibbling away at the left of the Labour Party. Up 6 points since Zach Palansky came in.
And what's happening to... It was called Fruit and Nut. But what's happening to Sultana?
They haven't got a name yet. They're called Your Party. We're expecting... I methink they've missed the boat. Like when you established the Brexit Party, it's all about timing, and they've missed the timing. The Greens are now in there. Zach Palansky is moving the market. They're up a third since he came in September. Our final guest, you'll love this, Nigel Farage, is the man who coined the word Brexit. He's called Peter Wilde.
I know him.
You know him?
I know him.
And he invented it.
I know him.
And the biggest joke is he's a Remainer.
No, he's a raging Remainer.
He's a raging Remainer.
I knew him in Brussels. But, you know, I tell you what, and I'll say this to the panel as well, it's quite important. I've never agreed with Peter Wilding on politics, but I think we quite like each other. We're due a lunch together at some point, and that's how it ought to be.
Yeah.
We ought to disagree and do it in a civil way. I manage it with this lot on the panel. Goodness only knows how. It's very, very difficult. Right, I'm done. Let's have a look at the weather.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello again and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. Further showers for many of us, particularly northern parts of the UK during the next 24 hours. Chilly in the north as well, in between any showers with clear spells about. Low pressure continues to drive weather systems into northern and southern parts of the country, with this weather front turning up during the evening, bringing a spell of more persistent wet weather into Wales initially, that turning heavy in places, and then it spills into the Midlands and other parts of the southern third of the UK. Further showers for northern England, Scotland and Northern Ireland. But in between the showers, there will be some clear spells, and under those clear skies, temperatures will fall into the low single figures in places. So a few chilly spots first thing Wednesday, the odd mist and fog patch as well, particularly for sheltered parts of northern and northeastern Scotland, where temperatures could dip down just below freezing in some of the most sheltered glens. Otherwise, it's 5 to 7 degrees first thing, and we've got these showers moving into western and central Scotland. Some flakes of wet snow over the hills. Northern Ireland also seeing some showers, particularly for the north and the west. But a decent spell of brighter and drier weather for North Wales and northern England from the word go. And we do see the rain across parts of South and East Wales, and the southwest tend to peel away with skies brightening here, but it just does move into the East Midlands, East Anglia and the southeast by the afternoon. A damp and gloomy afternoon here, 14 Celsius in London, 8 to 10 Celsius for parts of Scotland. Thursday starts off bright with, again, a few pockets of frost and fog, but it doesn't last long. We keep the sunny spells in the east, whilst the next system brings wetter weather into the west with an increasing wind, gales in exposed western parts. And it stays unsettled through Friday and the weekend. A lot of showers around, but in between some brighter spells and feeling a bit warmer.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
It's the final week to see how you can become our biggest winner this year. First, you could be driving away with this brand new Benamar Primera motorhome. This luxury vehicle comfortably sleeps 4, has its own fitted kitchen and bathroom areas, and comes complete with fitted awning and bicycle rack. And that's not all, as we'll also give you a whopping £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost